moving on to the government side, I'm delighted to have this next session, FDI Investment Funds. How are governments supporting and investing into the hospitality sector? A really critical area. We need government support, of course, and to moderate this panel is Amit Nayak, who is Vice President and Executive Board Member of HAMA. Amit, please come and join. Please come and introduce your panel.
Hi.
Thank you.
I think 2021 has been an interesting start for all of us here. I think it was 2005 or 6, Jonathan, correct me here. 15 years back when AHIC was created, and the whole idea of AHIC was for operators to meet owners. And this was something in this part of the world was a difficult thing, so AHIC provided the platform and the forum at that time. Fast forward 15 years, today I think every operator, global operator, has a flag in Dubai or is here trying to put a flag in Dubai. Throughout the day, we spoke about a lot of things, but one of the key factors that affects our business is money. Where is the deal flow coming through? Where are the investments going? And traditionally, this part of the world was always where money went out. In the last couple of years, we have, thanks to all the gentlemen sitting here, seeing a lot of deal flows coming in. FDI has become one of the key channel partners for business, for the local economy to sustain, and also to develop new waypoints on how we look at the business as a whole. So very happy to introduce my panel here. We've got Yousuf, who overlooks investment and development for the Tourism Authority of Dubai. We've got Salvatore, who overlooks for Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, or Abu Dhabi Investment Office. I need to be careful with that. And we've got Imad Barrakad from the Morocco Tourism Authority. I think, please, thank you for joining us. Let's start with Imad. I think the idea of Morocco is very interesting to all of us. It's been a gateway destination when it comes to hospitality. And you guys have been kind of the front runners where REITs and funds, interestingly even from this part of the world, family offices invested in and built beautiful hotels. You got roughly around 8,000 keys today, with another 2,000 coming up in this year to next. Tell us something about the strategy, how you managed to create this platform, and what do you see as next steps moving forward?
Thank you. I think we did a lot of things to improve the FDI coming to Morocco. In the beginning, there was no agency working on the FDI. There was no incentive from the state. And we worked a lot on putting incentives and putting the agency that I'm managing and other agencies, because the FDI, each sector has its own agency bringing the FDI into the country, but as well we have the Moroccan agency, which is trying to coordinate the intervention of the other agencies, but as well giving the incentive to have a cycle of incentive. So for tourism especially, we made a big effort of incentives that comes from taxes until plots, giving the plots at low prices. We help for the training. We help for everything. So we did a lot. We are doing something like $1 billion each year in investment, and the FDI is representing 20% of the tourism investment. In the beginning, the FDI were representing something like 80%. Today, it's 20%. So main FDI are coming from Europe and GCC as well.
I think Morocco has been a good example for us also to learn from, and UAE has been one of the key markets from where the investments have come from. Going back to some of the successes that we have had, Abu Dhabi has been quite a success when it comes to tourism. We have seen almost in the last 15 years a growth of maybe from 5,000 keys to 30,000 keys, and more growing. You have some of the best operators in the world coming in. But from an FDI perspective in hospitality, what are the touch points? What are you looking at with the creation of the Abu Dhabi Investment Office, which focuses primarily on this? How is hospitality as a sector focused on?
Yeah, so tourism has been one of the key cluster sectors that we've been looking at in terms of bringing in FDI and looking at innovation within Abu Dhabi. The way that the Abu Dhabi Investment Office is acting is to really be a market catalyzer rather than a market maker. So similar to the previous panel about innovation, what we're looking at is rather than trying to master plan economies, how can we let the innovation come from the private sector and then allow that to make the change in these sectors. What we're then looking at doing is how can we look at on the financial side, providing incentives to cover costs in terms of land, in terms of the high-skilled labor, uniquely skilled labor, in terms of like CapEx costs. And we're doing that on a rebate basis, so pay and reclaim. So rather than taking equity, diluting the owners, or taking IP ownership, we're really just acting as government support. And then we're also looking on the non-financial side, what are the barriers to entry? In tourism, we found a lot that there needed to be a translator between the public sector and the private sector. So we have a lot of different entities that are involved in the tourism sector, from the Department of Culture and Tourism, the environmental agency, the municipality. And so what we've looked at is how can we identify the barriers for the investors, work on a one Abu Dhabi approach, bring together the entire strength of the government, the entire menu of options of the incentives that are available from different entities, and provide that to the investor, let their innovation then succeed, and let that be catalyzed.
So I think it's interesting when we look at Abu Dhabi and then we look at Dubai, because you look at even the number of keys, you look at the whole business model. In Dubai, I think, I'm just trying to remember, did we ever incentivize anybody by giving free land? And the whole model of FDI in Dubai, with now 134,000 keys and touching almost 160 in the next, say, 18 to 24 months. How has been the model of hospitality and the hotel business in Dubai?
The key thing about the way that we've managed the supply is that we started with a global strategy of how do we make Dubai the leading destination for families under the vision of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed Al Maktoum. And from there, we started looking at the composition. We looked at what the people need, the travelers, and we started with an incentive scheme that enabled the private sector to catalyze the development of the mid-market supply. And it didn't need a lot from our side, to be honest. I can take the credit if you want, but the industry and the confidence in Dubai in general from the foreign direct investment offices globally, the global operators, have made it easy to create that link with the industry. And as you see, we even studied how people move within the city. The activations in which they transport within the city, how they explore the city, and all of that. And that in itself created momentum across the board, linking with global travel agencies. And even during the times of COVID, we saw that there is still a high confidence in Dubai, especially when you look at the greenfield investments. We identified about 24 billion dirhams that came in globally on greenfield. So it's been a very interesting drive towards COVID, and even within COVID, the whole approach of the Dubai government is having a strong relationship with the private sector, in the way that we direct the decisions, in which we ensure the profitability, and we safeguard also the public at the same time.
We have been part of several such initiatives
Yes.
as part of HAMA, and I think it's one of the key aspects what we are seeing even in Abu Dhabi for the matter is that how the public-private relationship, especially at an ownership level, how that plays out and how we enable the city operators to actually enable and grow the city together instead of a decision maker and an operator. You basically build a cohesive relationship. Investments are one thing, but when I want to go into any city or country, one of the key aspects are the regulatory authorities, are the financial systems. It's very easy to put the money in, but how do I get my money out? So what are the things? Let's go with starting with SMIT. How have you enabled that sector? How have you made it easier for investments to come in with the understanding that there is an exit? There is an exit which, whether it's positive or if there is more injection needed, how do you support the ecosystem by way of financing, etc.?
So what is important for the investor when he's coming in a country is the confidence. He has to be confident when investing in the country. This is the first step. And the second step, he needs to know if he can get its money back and if he can get it outside the country when he wants. So it is something we have done. So in Morocco, there is no, he can repatriate its money when he wants. So it is very important. He can own the land as well, because we know that some countries, you cannot own a land in tourism. You can own a land in Morocco and develop it and sell it wherever you want and get your money out from the country. This is the first step we did in the beginning. Second thing, that what we are trying to do is to facilitate the repatriation of the money outside the country. This is something that we allow in Morocco and give to investors the ability, the capacity or the ability to do it when he wants to live.
Now, one of the key things for anybody as an investor or an owner is you work towards things to be as good and as nice as possible, but then you have a contract that basically helps you when things go bad. How does the arbitration and everything in any of the investments in Morocco work? Because that is something that is how we bring comfort to the investor that, okay, something goes wrong, the regulatory system supports you and enables you to be fair.
Of course, the law is very important. I mean, arbitration is very important as well. So we have a Casablanca chamber, which is, you can go to Casablanca chamber, but as well, it's free to go to London or to Paris arbitration. It means that's something that we negotiate at the moment when you are investing. But even we did a lot in regulation and trying to facilitate all the process and facilitating laws about regulation for the investment and helping the investor if there is anything happening not in their side to go to the law and to arbitrate.
So normally in Morocco with any of the investments, what has been the investment cycle been like? 3 years, 5 years? What has been the exit? Because there have been a lot of transactions in Morocco as well, which is something very encouraging for us.
Yeah, we're more talking about 4 to 5 years investment cycle. This is very important. The investment as well in Morocco goes to the 4 or 5 stars. I mean, we are not talking about, we have not a lot of investment in 1 or 2 stars or small investments. We are more, all the FDI are going to the 5 stars. So it's more easy for them because of the investment. They go to a committee, there is agreement that is signed between the state and the investors, and that helps a lot, having the incentives, having, helping all the process and doing their investment in a good way.
Okay. Yousuf, Dubai, 160,000 keys, DIFC, so many free zones and everything else that has been created. How do you work the ecosystem? How do you enable from a legislative to an operational setup, the logistics between it, which is the soft logistics? How do you make it work?
I think we started with the strategy. We wanted to make sure that the investor has the freedom to invest wherever he wants, in whichever jurisdiction he wants. So you have all of the major jurisdictions available, either in the IFC or any of the other free zones, and even on a local level with the new enhancement in terms of allowing foreign direct ownership, full ownership on mainland. That's on one side. So for example, just recently with the improvements, we have the common law applied into the Dubai World Trade Center Authority, for example, which didn't exist last week, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So the speed in which we take decision and implement it is something that we are proud of. Adding to that, the creation of a very strong digital platform to reduce the time from ideation to execution to opening. As you are well aware, you sit on many, you head and represent many hotels, and I'm sure your team told you how fast it is between the inspections now. Back in the day before we embarked in 2014, when we had about, I guess at that point in time, about 60,000 keys when we started that journey 6 years ago. The length of time it took to develop a hotel was about 36 to 48 months sometimes. And we were able, with the support and cooperation with the Dubai municipality, the economic department, and the free zones, to reduce that time dramatically to 18 to 24 months of development. And that, immediately goes back into the pocket of the investor, as well as the way that we have designed the classification systems. So technically, we made sure that we were part of the solution.
Yeah. No, I think one of the most interesting examples that I can share is last year during when COVID was at its peak, and we decided to do the IPL matches here. And we were on one of these con calls, and I had some of the key people from IPL who were there with a lot of key people from Dubai on the same call. And then I got a phone call on the side. I said, Amit, all these guys are saying yes to things. Do they actually mean it? I said, you know what, this is Dubai, it happens. And we make it happen. I remember the head of IPL, we were having lunch together at the box, and the guy said, you know what, Amit, we could not believe the smoothness in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Sharjah, how the whole 3 cities came together, and we were able to do the matches better than back home. Maybe I should not be saying that in an open forum, but that was how they felt.
I think we made sure also from a safety perspective, because we share the same DNA, we're one country at the end of the day. Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Sharjah, and the rest of the Emirates. What benefits Dubai benefits the other Emirates, and what benefits the other Emirates benefit us. And it was a cohesive approach when it comes to large-scale events like the IPL. And we made sure that from a crisis management, we ensured that all of the hotel staff across the industry are vaccinated. We made sure that we supported the hotel industry, as you are well aware, in terms of rebates from the tourism dirham and the TAC hotel, the Dubai municipality fees. We ensured that we heard the industry and helped the industry.
I think one of the things of the IPL is that I'm a bit upset is that Mumbai lost the match yesterday, but that's for a different forum. Salvatore, I think with COVID being this hard reset in the way our business is conducted, one of the things that we saw in the last slide is business on business compared to all the other pandemics went down by 74% year on year. How do we look at FDI from an Abu Dhabi perspective, with hospitality being so delicate as a business? I hope everybody who said that we should be expecting another pandemic soon, but if, God forbid, that happens, how are we protecting the businesses in Abu Dhabi from an FDI perspective?
Yeah, so we're always looking at sustainable business and supporting companies that will be able to make a strategic decision to come into Abu Dhabi, and not just trying to follow the money or to make an opportunistic decision to come. With COVID, we saw a lot of different sectors, valuations tripling, and a lot of new innovations completely changing the way the business was being done. Hospitality obviously was very different, and the approach in Abu Dhabi was to be very protective and make sure everybody was able to do business safely, and make sure that the tourists that would be able to come would be safe. We're very happy that yesterday, we were able to open the border. The UAE is the most vaccinated country in the world, and we have one of the highest testing rates. And so now what we're looking at is how can we, because a sector like hospitality can't be safe if the tourists themselves aren't safe. We're also looking at how can we develop new forms of tourism. So in Abu Dhabi, we're kind of limited in the experience that a lot of people have, right? We have hundreds of islands, we have hundreds of kilometers of coast, we have the 75% of the desert in the UAE, we have the oases in Liwa and Al Ain. And so we're looking at what kind of experiences will people have, what kind of people will be coming. And when you're able to then build that demand, I think the supply becomes safer. Also looking at how can we do more safe domestic tourism, right? I think the population living in the UAE is probably one of the most active set of travelers.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of the people who live here don't actually experience all the Emirates. They don't go up to the north. They don't go to the mountains. They don't go, all the way in Al Dhafra in the western region in the UAE. And so by giving more options, by making sure people are aware of that and kind of aligning that domestic tourism angle, then we ensure that the businesses will be able to be sustainable, and that God willing, there's not another pandemic, but that will be able to be as safe and keep the businesses afloat as well.
One of the things that we have seen in the post-COVID era is that government support and government interaction with the private entities, with the local authorities and everything else is the most important thing on coming out of any of this crisis. It's happened a million times, but I think COVID is where a lot of the institutions, let's call it government institutions, private institutions, understood that better than any other time. I think we have 5 minutes remaining, and one of the things what I would like you all to do is give me 3 points in your respective geographies. Why should anybody invest into hospitality in your business in the next 5 years? So I think let's start with you, Imad.
Thank you. I think something we didn't discuss or talk about a lot in those days is vaccination. This is something where we invested a lot, and we did a lot. In Morocco, we have something like 60% of people are vaccinated today, which is very important for the growth of tourism, because we saw the numbers all around the world. 80% of the capacity of tourism is today not working. So maybe vaccinating and having this flow. In Morocco, I think it's not possible today to have this kind of conference today in the way we hold it, this kind of. So maybe we have we did a lot of things to have people vaccinated in Morocco. Saying why you have to invest in Morocco, I think I'm not gonna say that Morocco is 3 hours from the main destination of Europe, and when we are saying main destination of Europe, we are saying of growth. And we know that 50% of growth is coming from Europe. We are 6 hour, 7 hour flight from US. We are 6 hour, 7 hour flight from Asia. So we are at the main course, let's say, of the world. So people are coming there. Even people are very friendly. I think you have been, if you have been to Morocco, you will see that the hospitality comes with their education. People are very educated and are very. They have hospitality in their blood, and the country is very very beautiful. You have beautiful ocean, beautiful seas. You have mountain. You can ski and go to swim, and after that go to the desert in 1 hour. And it's a huge country. We are talking about 700,000, more than 700,000 square kilometers.
Salvatore.
Yeah, I think for Abu Dhabi, I would say there's 3 things. There's the opportunity, there's the support, and the innovation. So on the opportunity side, it's now with the border opening now, with enabling people to come safely, there's just a lot to be done. It's growing very quickly. A lot of new parts of the emirate that can be visited. In terms of the support, the government is always there to really act as the liaison between the private sector and the public sector to see what those barriers are, and then really quickly be able to get anything changed that will impede success in the sector. And then the innovation, we're always open to see exciting new ideas that can push the sector further, new offerings for the tourists, new locations that can be identified. And so I really think holistically, if you come with an idea, if you come with the willingness to do it, then Abu Dhabi is the place to get it done.
We have the expo. Sir,
I
I
think it
think
was a
over
bit-
and above.
I think it's a cheeky question to start with because I must say I admire what Morocco did and what Abu Dhabi did during this time, and in another way we think it's a win for everybody if the investment keep flowing to all of these destinations. When it comes to Dubai, our main objective is to stay connected to the world, to be the fastest, to support the customer, to be the global hub in terms of traffic. We have Dubai Airport and we have Emirates Airlines as about one of the key backbones for global travel, and the safety and protection of investments in general and the speed of what we do is core to supporting the investment community in general. And the doors are always open in Dubai Tourism to support any future cutting-edge innovation in terms of the sector, whether it will reduce the cost of operations or increase the yield in general.
So I think one of the things that also to add on.
And
on
one
that
last
same
thing, Expo is next month, so we hope we can see you guys in Expo, coming and visiting and enjoying it as well. I mean, it's an open invitation to everybody.
Definitely, we have to have the expo pitch, for sure. Do we have, Jonathan, can we have one or two questions from the audience? One question. Anybody? Okay, so I think on that note, thank you. Thank you, Jonathan, for the opportunity,
Thank you.
and thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you.
so much for joining us.
A pleasure.
Here at AHIC. Amit, fantastic. It's such an important topic, this, and something we need to build on for next year as well.
For sure.
As we go forward.
Yeah, thank you.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.